Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're going to give it just a couple minutes for everybody to filter into the room, and then we'll kick things off. All right. Looks like we've got quite a few people joining. Seeing that number go up. Let's go ahead and jump in. There will be a recording of this, so you'll be able to view that if you missed any of the beginning here. So hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on how to build a referral culture at your staffing agency. As you all know, the war for talent has shown no signs of abating, so companies need to find ways to distinguish themselves from the competition. One of the big ways they can do this is by using referrals to reach talent their competitors don't have access to. Some quick housekeeping items before we dive in. If you have questions, please submit them in the Q&A, and we'll get to as many as we can at the end of the presentation. Also, we will email you afterward with a link to the video and some other referral resources to share with your team. So just a brief note about Staffing Referrals. It's an automated referral management platform that helps staffing agencies leverage referrals to turn their talent pool into a competitive advantage. We partner with more than 100 agencies across staffing verticals, and to date, we've generated over 1.5 million brand ambassadors for those partners. Krista isn't going to talk anymore about referral program automation today, but if you're interested, we do have another webinar coming up on April 25th, where we'll specifically be talking about staffing referrals and how you can automate your referral program. So this is actually the second webinar in a series. The first one introduced our referral framework, which is a recipe for success with referrals that we've developed over the years. If you missed that one, don't worry. All of the webinars can stand alone, but if you're interested in learning more about the other pillars of the framework, you can watch it on demand on our website. Also, later this month, I will be giving a webinar focused on automating your referral program. So watch your inbox for how to sign up for that. With that, I'm excited to pass over to Krista Garver, who is the head of customer education. Krista, I'll go ahead and let you take it from here. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Glad you're here today. So to start with, David said, I'm Krista Garver. I'm the head of customer education at Staffing Referrals, as well as the managing editor at Staffing Hub. Prior to these roles, David and I actually we co-founded an award-winning marketing agency together. I'm also a competitive bridge player, a theater reviewer, and as you can see from my picture, I used to have orange hair. I'm glad you're all here today. Okay, so here's what I hope you're going to take away from this session. First, why people refer their friends for jobs, and just as importantly, why they don't. How to find out if your agency is referable. What a referral culture looks like both internally and externally, and some best practices for creating a referral culture in your agency. So my hope that is whether you're just starting out with referrals or you already have a functioning referral program, you'll come away with this session with some action items to move your agency forward. Okay, so I'm going to quickly introduce the referral framework. If you attended the first webinar, this first part will be a short review, but don't worry, we'll be getting into the new content ASAP. So after implementing hundreds of referral programs, we have identified the 3 things that you need to have in order to succeed with referrals. The first is a referral culture. This is the most important thing, which is why we're developing an entire webinar to it. And we break down culture into 2 components. First is the external part. You have to be referable so that people actually want to refer their friends and colleagues to work with your agency. And the second is internal, meaning referrals need to be prioritized internally across your entire organization. The next part is your referral program. This is the structure that includes how much of a bonus you'll offer, your terms and conditions for paying out all those bonuses. And finally, you need a referral process. And this is the everyday work that your team does to keep referrals coming in and moving people through the system. If you put those 3 parts together, you will get more placements. And for a lot more about what successful referral program and process look like, I recommend that you go and watch the on-demand webinar that David referenced earlier. Okay, so we'll dig into referral culture. So like I mentioned, there are 2 components to this. First, you have to be referable so that people actually want to refer their friends and colleagues to work with you. And second, referrals need to be a priority across the organization. So just to start with, think about a company or a product that you've referred to someone in your network and why you referred them. I'm going to share a few examples. I love Goldbelly. This is a website where you can order foods from around the country delivered to your door. And when we couldn't travel because of COVID, I used Goldbelly probably more than I'd like to admit to. We ordered pizza from Chicago. We ordered barbecue from Texas, meal kits from interesting restaurants all over the place. And I've referred Goldbelly to several of my foodie friends because I thought it was really fun and I knew that they would enjoy it as well. And also because I love fun food, I like to get regular exercise. My best pandemic purchase was a mirror. You may have seen advertisements for this. It's a full-length mirror, also a screen where you can get thousands of workouts live and on demand. I use it several times a week. I will happily talk about it to anyone who's looking for a convenient, easy to stick with fitness program. So you may have noticed that when I talked about these products, I didn't mention getting a referral bonus. Both of these products do have referral bonuses, and I have received them, but that wasn't the driving force behind my referrals. These products have made my life better. I liked sharing them with other people who might be looking for the same thing. So this gets to something that we often find is a source of misunderstanding about candidate referral programs, and that's the idea that it's all about the money. In fact, for most candidates, making a referral is more about helping a friend than it is about earning extra money. Now, don't get me wrong, the extra money is nice, right? And research shows that you do need to have an incentive for your referral program to perform at a high level, but it can't be all you're offering. So why do people refer their friends for jobs? The four main reasons are they've had a good experience with the company or the agency, they like their recruiter, they want to help their friends and their coworkers, and they want to participate in their community. So for bringing it back to the examples I just shared, I referred friends to the Mirror and Goldbelly because I really love their products and I wanted to share something that I loved with my friends. It really is that simple. Of course, people also like referral bonuses, but the psychological factors have to be in place first because there's also a measure of risk in referring a friend to something. Like, what if it doesn't work out? What if they don't get hired? Or if they do get hired and they hate it? That would reflect badly on me as the person who made the referral. And the idea that I would look bad to my friends is a big demotivator. So there was an interesting study that looked at how people felt about their company and how likely they were to refer a friend for a job at that company to earn different bonus amounts. And this is a very simplistic illustration of the results, but in very general terms, what they found is that if people feel like making a referral is risky to their reputation, then the company would have to give out very large bonuses to get those referrals. And on the flip side, when people feel a positive emotional attachment to the company, then the very large bonuses aren't necessary. They would make the same number of referrals for a much smaller bonus. So the bottom line here is that your referral culture is more important than your referral bonus. You can buy referrals, but it will be very expensive. So, are you referable? We recently did a webinar with Salo, a Corn Ferry company, about how they've grown their business by focusing on the talent experience. They describe it as putting people first. You know, Salo is really an expert in this area because they've literally grown their whole company this way. They don't spend any money at all on job boards. They get all their new talent through word of mouth. So when we were preparing for that webinar, Adam Sprecher, who's their chief of growth, he made the comment that all agencies say that they put people first, that they're relationship focused, that they're not transactional. But having a strong referral program is what indicates whether or not that's actually true. The proof is in the pudding. So on the opposite side of the spectrum, I spoke with someone a while back whose agency was really struggling to get referrals. They were trying everything and just not having any success. And this person's assessment of the situation was that the people they work with just don't have any friends. That's probably not the case, right? It's much more likely that their talent just didn't want to refer their friends to work at that agency. And as we saw in the previous slide, if people don't like your company, they won't send you referrals unless you pay them a lot of money to do so. The best measurement of your referability is how many referrals you're currently getting, or what percentage of your candidates are currently coming from referrals. Even if you don't have a formal referral program, if your agency is referable, you probably have some referral leads coming in. This is especially true in fields, say like travel nursing, where travel nurses meet other travel nurses all of the time. And nurses that have great experiences or really terrible experiences with their agencies and their recruiters are likely sharing those stories with the people they meet on assignment. In our experience, a surprising number of agencies don't actually know the current contributions of referrals to their business. And this is true even if they have a formal referral program in place. And it's usually because they don't have a reliable system to track the data, so the referrals are just getting lost. And if this resonates with you, be sure to sign up for David's webinar later in this series. Next, what's your redeployment rate? I heard a statistic recently that only about 6% of staffing agencies are even measuring their redeployment rate, which is pretty astonishing because those people who will come back and work another assignment with you are like gold. And they're also the people who are most likely to refer you to their friends. And finally, this is one of our favorites. It's the Net Promoter Score, or NPS. And because we like it so much, I'm going to dig in just a little bit more. So we believe that the Net Promoter Score is one of the most important metrics you can use to assess your candidate experience. And the best part about it is that it's easy to measure and easy to understand. And it also gives you a good idea of where things might be going wrong and how you can fix them. So the Net Promoter Score question is simply this: on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend our company to a friend or colleague? The NPS is used in many industries, and research shows that it's a decent predictor of business growth, meaning that companies with high NPS scores typically grow faster than those with low NPS scores. This is something we found consistently in the Staffing Hub State of Staffing report as well. The NPS is particularly useful for assessing referability because that's exactly what the question is asking, right? So here's how it works. Anyone who gives you a 0 or a 6 is called a detractor. These are people who have negative feelings about your company. Not only are they not recommending you, but they're probably out there telling others about their negative experiences. People who give you a 7 or an 8 are passives. They think you're fine. You know, they wouldn't recommend you, but they probably aren't complaining about you either. The trick about passives is that they often have one foot out the door, and if a better offer comes along, they're likely to take it. And finally, your 9s and your 10s, these are your promoters. They love your company, and they're probably already sending referrals your way, even without you having to ask. So to get your score, you subtract the percentage of detractors from the percentage of promoters. Now, the folks over at Clearly Rated, they help staffing agencies discover their Net Promoter Score and use it to grow their business. And they put together some industry benchmarks, which you can see here. So these are the average ratings for staffing agencies from talent that they've placed. The green line here is the average percentage of promoters, orange is passives, red is detractors, and blue is the overall NPS. Currently, the average candidate NPS in staffing is 19%, which we get by subtracting the 26% from detractors from the 45% from promoters. And as you can see from the graph, that's a little lower than it has been over the past decade. The recent high was in 2013 when the candidate NPS was 33. So according to Eric Gregg, who's the CEO and founder of Clearly Rated, 20 is about the average for staffing, 30 is good, 50 is exceptional, and 70 is truly world-class. Every year, Clearly Rated gives out their Best of Staffing Awards, and to qualify for that, your agency has to have an NPS of at least 50. The 2023 awards were released not that long ago, so you can check them out. And if anyone on this call received one, congratulations. So I mentioned earlier that NPS is a reasonable predictor of business growth. Well, Clearly Rated crunched their data, and they actually found a direct relationship between candidate NPS and an agency's business outcomes. Namely, that a detractor placed on assignment is 2 times more likely to get fired or quit than a promoter. And you can bet those detractors are not making any referrals. So what are some other tools you can use to assess your referability? We just talked about Clearly Rated. They run NPS surveys and also ask a variety of follow-up questions to help agencies get to the heart of why a candidate gave them a particular score. Great Recruiters is another tool. This allows talent to rate and review their recruiter. It helps recruiters and agencies identify and resolve problems quickly, collect testimonials from candidates who give high ratings, and easily publicize their ratings and reviews for social proof. There are also employment rating programs like Glassdoor, general review sites like Google and Facebook, and of course social media sites, or Google reviews, and of course social media sites like Facebook. So even if you don't use a specific reputation management tool, it's always best to assume that the people who have worked with you are talking about you, and it's in your best interest to know what they're saying. Because according to Glassdoor, the average job seeker reads 6 reviews, and 69% of job seekers won't accept a job from a company with a bad reputation. So since we're on the topic of reviews, I just want to take a quick moment to talk about responding to them, especially responding to negative ones. So when we had our marketing agency, we would manage our clients' social media accounts. And once in a while, someone would leave a negative comment or a review. And often the company's first instinct was just to ignore it, right? But in our digital world where social proof is so important, that's just about the worst thing you can do, because it means that you're not contributing to the story that's being told about your business online. And remember, the average job seeker reads 6 reviews before applying. So I just wanted to share a few best practices for responding to these reviews. First, don't ignore the negative reviews. Come from the perspective that every negative review is actually an opportunity to improve your business, as well as an opportunity to turn a detractor into a promoter. Respond quickly and professionally, just like you would if you receive the feedback in person. So if you get a compliment, start with thank you. And if you get a complaint, start with thank you. Respond publicly, and then if it's appropriate, invite the reviewer to continue the conversation offline. This will give you the chance to ask questions and make sure you really understand what went wrong. Be authentic and honest, especially about mistakes. And if there's a problem you can solve it. Often, if you deal with negative reviews professionally and courteously, you can change the person's perception of your company. And in the best case scenario, they may even go back and provide a much more positive edit or updated review, which could have a big impact on the perception of your company. Okay, so now we're going to look at some of the things that you can do to make your agency more referable. Now, I would love to give you a checklist or a complete formula to follow here, but unfortunately I can't. Every agency is unique, has their own unique areas where they excel or need improvement. So what I can do is give you some guidance on how you can uncover these areas you have for improvement. To get more referrals from candidates, you need to provide a great candidate experience, and you won't know how great yours is until you actually measure it. So step 1, find out what your net promoter score is, and then set a goal for improvement. Or hey, if it's over 50 already, pat yourself on the back because you're exceptional. Step 2 is to have a process for uncovering and responding to negative perceptions. And finally, and this is really the kicker, you have to hold people accountable for taking action to improve your score. Like we said, before staffing referrals, we had a marketing agency, which, like staffing, is a very service-oriented business. And we actually won an award for customer happiness. So I'll give you an example of how we use the NPS. First, we measured it regularly. Every time we brought on a new client, we enrolled all of their key stakeholders into an email workflow, and every 6 months they got an NPS survey from us. We asked 2 questions, the standard, how likely are you to recommend us, and also why did you give us that rating? This feedback came in on a rolling basis. We set up a Slack channel so we could see it in real time. And then every week at our company meeting, we reviewed the feedback as a group. Every time we had a detractor, that person got a phone call from their account manager who knew that we'd be discussing our NPS at the next weekly meeting, and that they'd be on the spot to say why that person was a detractor and what steps they were taking to improve that client's experience. This really allowed us to get in front of any small problems before they became big ones. And it also deepened our relationships with clients, because I think more than anything else we could do, it really showed that we cared about them and their experience with our company. So we do something very similar to this at Staffing Referrals. Our NPS score is one of the 5 key metrics we review as a team every single week. We also devote a chunk of our weekly meeting to customer feedback, both good and bad. This helps us keep focused on what matters most to our customers. So if you aren't already doing something like this, I highly encourage you to start thinking about how you can use NPS and other tools that I've discussed to improve your candidate experience. And here are just a few best practices for increasing your referability, no matter where you are in the referral journey right now. First, work on your employer brand. According to LinkedIn Talent Solutions, 71% of candidates research a company before applying, and 72% of recruiting leaders say that employer brand significantly impacts their hiring. So the top 3 channels for your employer brand are your company's website, your online professional networks, and social media. Second, treat all candidates well, even those that aren't a good fit for the current job, because you never know, right? They might be a good fit for the next one. Then one of the things we recommend at Staffing Referrals is actually to open up your referral program beyond your place talent to include anyone who you've interviewed. This increases your number of potential ambassadors, and it also provides additional incentive to treat every candidate who has an experience with your company well. A host of research shows that an application process that's overly complex or too long is a big turnoff, so make it easy to apply. After surveying more than 1 million candidates over the course of several years, Talent Board found that one of the biggest complaints from candidates is that recruiters don't respect their time. So if a candidate has a bad experience during the application process, they certainly aren't going to refer any of those friends to have the same experience. And finally, communicate in a timely manner. Especially now, the labor market is tight. Don't keep people waiting. A Robert Half survey found that for almost 60% of candidates, the most frustrating part of the job search is the long wait after an interview to hear if they got the job. And about 70% say they lose interest in a company entirely if they don't hear back for 2 weeks. So the good news is that this one is really easy to fix. Obviously, some hiring decisions may take longer than others, but it's still important to be transparent with candidates about the process and expectations rather than leaving them in limbo. So all of these things will improve your relationships with your talent. And remember that if people feel good about your company, they're more likely to make referrals. Okay, so those are the external components of the referral culture. Now we're going to move to the internal components. To have success with referrals, you need to prioritize them. And we've found that the agencies that have the most success are the ones where referrals are really a core part of the company's sourcing strategy. That means setting goals for referrals and supporting the activities necessary to meet those goals. Overall, a referral culture needs to be driven from the top down, and every single person in your organization has a role to play in building an agency that people want to recommend to their friends and colleagues. Leadership needs to know the value of referrals, care about the talent experience, and align incentives for their team around referrals. Managers need to set clear KPIs for referrals, hold their team accountable, and showcase top performers. And recruiters need to do the very important work of building positive relationships with talent and consistently asking for those referrals. So over the next few slides, we're going to walk through what each of these things look like in practical terms. So for each group, leaders, managers, and recruiters, I'll identify the essentials that form the building blocks of a referral culture, some ways to level up once you have those essentials in place, and also some pitfalls to avoid. Let's start with what a referral culture looks like from a leadership perspective. As a reminder, leadership is responsible for knowing the value of referrals, caring about the talent experience, and aligning incentives around referrals. And here are the essentials. Talk about the importance of referrals consistently. Leadership needs to be a constant champion for a referral program so that it echoes throughout the rest of the organization. Actively promote your referral program at least occasionally. What we often see is that agencies will promote their programs once a year or maybe once a quarter. Make sure you understand your data around referrals and your lead source numbers, and be excited to pay referral bonuses. This is one of the biggest mistakes that we see is agencies treating referrals as an extra cost rather than a key sourcing strategy. But referrals are not only a highly effective sourcing strategy, they can also decrease your hiring cost. Also, one thing that we haven't talked about yet is that a referral bonus is an investment in your current talent. You're essentially turning your entire network into affiliate marketers for you. Our most successful customers are the ones who say, I'm going to spend X amount of money on sourcing anyway, and I'd rather pay that money to my talent than give it to a job board. Okay, so once you've mastered these basics, you can level up. That looks like this. You set company-wide goals for referrals and you track your progress toward them. You incentivize and acknowledge your top recruiters, which will motivate other recruiters to up their referral game. You actively promote your referral program across multiple channels all the time, rather than just an occasional marketing push. And you talk about your referrals at all your company meetings. This reinforces that referrals are a key priority for your business. And we just have a few things here to avoid. This first one, I hope it made you cringe a little bit, reducing recruiters' commissions for giving referral bonuses. We've seen this occasionally. It's probably the most demotivating thing you can do, right? What recruiter is going to be excited about referrals if they know their commissions are going to shrink? So we recommend thinking about it this way. You don't make your recruiters pay for posting on job boards or for their LinkedIn recruiter accounts, and they shouldn't have to pay for their referrals either. The other one, and this is extremely important, is don't miss referral bonus payouts to your ambassadors. This is a key part of building trust with the people who are sending you referrals. If you don't pay bonuses in a timely manner, your ambassadors are going to stop sending those referrals in. So I wanted to give you an example of an agency that's really doing this right from a leadership perspective. Seek Careers. They love to pay referral bonuses because they know the exact value of every one of those bonuses brings to their organization. In just a little over a year with staffing referrals, Seek got over 1,500 referral leads, and they converted 33% of those leads into placements. This is a quote from Sarah Luxinger, who's Seek's Vice President of Organizational Development. She said, "So far, we've paid out $91,000 in referral bonuses and made $350,000 in gross margin on those placements. That means we made nearly 3 times our investment in those referral leads." Okay, so now we'll move on to the manager level. And as a reminder, managers have to set clear KPIs for referrals, hold their teams accountable, and showcase the top performers. Here are the essentials. First, use a defined process to ensure that referral leads are given special attention. So if someone sends you a referral lead, that candidate should be contacted right away. Not only is it likely to be a very high quality lead, but you want to maintain a good relationship with the ambassador who made the referral. So we recommend having a special process for handling referral leads that's more immediate and more high touch than the way you might treat a job board candidate. Train your recruiters on how to incorporate the referral program into their daily conversations. This includes providing talk tracks and other tools that make it easy for referrals to be constantly promoting your referral program. Track and review referrals with recruiters regularly. We recommend meeting with recruiters weekly to go over the status of all their referral leads. And again, ensure bonuses are paid out on time. It's frustrating for everyone if an ambassador has to call and ask about the status of their referral bonus. So leveling up looks like this. Create annual goals for referrals. Incentivize your recruiters specifically for referral placements. Have your recruiters share best practices with the team. This is one of the most effective ways we've seen to get recruiter buy-in for the referral program. Once a quarter or even once a month, have a best practices meeting where your recruiters can share with what's working. Communicate internally about your referral wins. Broadcast the successes to your team, for example, at your weekly meetings, to be sure to talk about your referral leads and placements. This shows recruiters the why behind referrals and emphasizes their ongoing impact on the business. And finally, constantly look for new ways to get more referrals. There's a lot of room for creativity here. You could hold quarterly contests where the winning team gets a catered lunch. Or the winning recruiter gets a day off. We have one customer that is partnered with multiple community organizations, and every time one of those organizations sends a referral, the agency donates the equivalent of a referral bonus to charity. And a few things to avoid in the manager level. Failing to explain why referrals are valuable to every recruiter. If recruiters don't know why they should be spending time on referrals, they probably won't. Not holding your recruiters accountable for tracking their referral leads. They should always know the status of their referrals. And also relying on recruiters to keep track of referral bonuses. We all know that even with the best of intentions, things can fall through the cracks. So as a little example here, we worked with one agency in the healthcare space. They had a lot of success with referrals thanks to the director of recruiting. Not only was she a champion for referrals, but she set clear KPIs and held her recruiters accountable to them. To start with, leadership was aligned around the importance of referrals, so they promoted referrals at every meeting and had company-wide KPIs around them. In addition, the accounting department had a defined process for paying out bonuses. On the management side, recruiters had a goal of 2 referral leads per week, and they used automated referral management software to track the leads. Then every week, the director of recruiting went over that week's referral leads during her recruiter one-on-ones to ensure that the recruiters were hitting their goals and following up promptly. As a result, one of the recruiters told me that she actually built her entire book of business via referrals. Then on a monthly basis, the recruiting team looked at referral leads and placements as a whole to reinforce the impact on the business as well as on the recruiters' wallets. Okay, and finally, we'll move to the most important level, which is your recruiters. Your recruiters are the front lines of your referral program, and their main job is to build positive relationships with talent and consistently ask for referrals. So here are the essentials. Your recruiters should be promoting referrals in their email signature and on social media. They should talk about the referral program with the people they place on contract. They should call referral leads as quickly as possible after they come in. and they should thank their ambassadors when they send referrals. And for leveling up, these are a few things recruiters can do. Talk about the referral program with everyone, even like people they interview. Create enough value for the talent that they are excited to refer you, and really give referral leads and ambassadors the VIP treatment. These leads are very high quality. According to data from the Staffing Referrals platform, the average placement rate for referral leads is 16%. Just for reference, the average placement rate for job board leads is about 1%. That's why we highly recommend giving all referrals VIP treatment, meaning contact them as quickly as possible, move them through the process as smoothly as possible, and communicate with them frequently. And finally, a few things to avoid. Being transactional. Don't focus on margin over candidate success. Ultimately, the more successful your candidates are, the more money everyone will make. So the candidate experience should be primary. And also treating referrals just like any other lead. Here's just a little suggestion that I loved. Last week, I was talking to Chris Sun, who's the COO at medical staffing agency UnityMed. And he told me about this awesome practice, and he gave me permission to share. So once a week, they carve out an hour for gratitude, which is a chance for everyone on the team to call out someone that they're grateful for. It's a simple idea, but gratitude is very powerful. It makes everyone happy, both the people expressing gratitude and the people receiving it. And the point is that the simple act of thanking people can make a big difference. So here's the idea. Once a week, carve out an hour for recruiters to reach out to their ambassadors and thank them for participating in the program. In our digital world, these types of personal human interactions can go a long way toward nurturing relationships, which will not only bring in more referrals, but also improve your retention rate with talent. Okay, so I know that was a lot, and I hope you found it useful. I wanted to end with just a very brief review of the referral framework. The 3 pillars are a referral culture, a referral program, and a referral process. And if you put these things together, you will get more placements. To learn more about the program and process, you can watch the on-demand video of the first webinar in this series. And if you want to learn how to scale your referral program with automated referral management, please tune into David's webinar on April 25th. And that's it. If you'd like to learn more about staffing referrals, you can scan the QR code here or visit our website. And thank you all for joining. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them. David, I don't know if you had anything you'd like to add here.
No, thank you all for joining. It was super. It was good to have such a good turnout. It looks like we do have one question that just popped in. What are some of the ways we should treat a referral lead funnel differently than a general lead funnel? Krista, I'm happy to run with it, or you can.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So as Krista mentioned, the placement rate on referrals is significantly higher than a job board. What we typically see with job boards is about a 1% of applicants will get placed on contract. In our platform across all 100 of our customers, our average placement rate is 16%, which means there's a 16x improvement in your placement rate. So treating these funnels differently is important. The reason you want to treat it differently is because the value of the lead is 16 times more likely that it's going to go on assignment. So you can do a lot less work, place a lot more people, and get people on contract faster. So in terms of the funnel, it's simply a matter of as soon as you see a referral lead come through, which through our system, we give email notifications, but you want to follow up on that as quickly as possible with the referral applicant and see what type of job they're looking for, try to figure out how you can help them out. Typically, there's a stat that's been around for a few years now, but if you follow up within, I think it's 5 minutes, your odds of closing the deal increase by 8 to 10x. So following up quickly, being personal about it. And then additionally, and this is a step that the true referral experts, the recruiters that are really blowing it out of the water, one thing that they will also do is not just follow up with the referral applicant, but they'll be sure to reach out to the person that referred them over, the ambassador, and they'll say, thank you for that referral. And if it's a good candidate, they'll be like, that's the exact type of person I'm looking for. If you have more of them, I'll make sure I follow up. And they really build this whole kind of referral life cycle where they're building trust with the ambassador. They're following up with applicants quickly and kind of just increasing that flow of referrals. So they're making sure that they're leveraging their network.
I have just one small thing to add, and this may be small, but we talk a lot about perception. And I think when a referral lead comes in, go into the conversation with the idea that, hey, this is going to be someone I place on a job, because they're very high quality coming in. So just kind of going into that conversation with, hey, this person's already gone through several hoops and we're going to find a place for them. It's just a mental switch that can impact how, you treat the leads. David, I see a question. Someone was asking about client referrals.
Oh, awesome. So when it comes to client referrals, so client referrals are a huge component for most agencies and something we highly recommend you do. In our platform, we have a small capability for driving client referrals, but it's something that is not kind of the core of our focus or what we talked about today. What I do think is important is that you have a focus on client referrals, have a process for asking for them. We've built some of that into our platform, but the data we're talking about today is mostly on the candidate side. Awesome. Any other questions? Cool. One thing I'm going to do is just drop a link to the Automating Your Referral Program webinar into chat here, so you guys can all go directly there if you'd like to sign up for our next one. We'll also be sending an email with a link to the next webinar, link to the recording of this webinar, and we appreciate y'all joining today. Hope you have a good one.
Previous one. We'll send the first one for anyone who missed it too.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.